Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Valley. So, we are now trying to get to this other facility that they hadn't even talked about called Astra, and it's sucking all the life out of the valley. Apparently, Soma, which had the life seed, which we did collect, and apparently, because we did that, we've now doomed the valley if we don't shut down the Astra facility. It's just sending out waves of sucking life out of places. We're also getting a lot of audio logs and text logs talking about how the doctor lady was going to like sabotage one of the weapons that is built in Astra, a giant cannon, to to dismantle it. Obviously, that didn't work, and her boyfriend seems like he might be a bit of a spy. I still think he's an obvious spy. And there's just a lot of stuff here. It's like they had a picnic up here before they tried to rob the place. Looks like I can jump down there. Not sure if I'm supposed to jump down there or if I'm supposed to try and get all the way over there, or if it matters one way or the other. We're supposed to find a way to access a tram tunnel, which maybe that's the way, but maybe not. The idea that all of a sudden the game would get a little bit more free flowing is not really something that I think I could appreciate. We're kind of in that problem where there's really not a lot I can appreciate with this game. Anyways, one thing I can say I do appreciate though is the fact that, let's see if we can suck up an energy ball from that distance. I bet the answer is no. Either you would have to get it so pixel perfectly set that way, or it's just not possible. We have these like glowing red things now that are they are stronger versions of the little daemons that have been running around. That's what they're calling them, as daemons. The little tree spirits. And I think you're pretty much being left to be told that they are wendigos. Which, honestly, I don't know what a wendigo normally looks like. It seems like it's kind of a more nebulous term that has just become a little bit more popular in modern use. Note from a researcher, I can't believe we're ramping up production. This seems suicidal. I hope they know what they're doing. I think we're going to end up killing everything in the valley. Seems like everybody, except for the guy in charge, Frederick, kind of could see and knew that Frederick was pushing them too hard and was going to end up killing everybody in the valley, or killing all life in the valley, if not the world. That was weird. But apparently, I guess the idea here is that nobody could argue with him, and nobody could just overthrow him. Like, it is a probably career-ending military move to overthrow a commanding officer in the middle of a war. But if you've got everybody on your side, you can do it. And as long as you're proven right later on, you should be fine. Or they could have just fragged him. Like, I've mentioned that before, and it seems like the real solution here would have been to just use one of these L.E.A.F units to suck the life out of Frederick and leave him frozen in place. I don't know if the L.E.A.F systems actually suck the life out of humans in a way that you can put it back in humans, or not. Or if it would just be straight up murdering them. But I mean, you could do either, certainly. Or you could just shoot them, or you could just use a grenade. Meanwhile, for the real game that we're playing, we're really just walking around through a lot of here. There's a cracked surface near the control tower, apparently. So they wanted me to fall down here just so we have kind of a narrative consistency of falling down before we go to the next area. Now these guys are... Here's the cracked surface being highlighted kind of oddly.
Thanatos cannon prototype being developed at Astra to destroy the reactor. The report came from a colleague of the alleged perpetrator, suspecting him as a potential Soviet operative. Since we only have one man's word to go on, we'll need to catch him and any other accomplice in the act. As such, guards will be posted discreetly at Astra. Nothing will intervene with Pendulum's completion.
So Pendulum, I guess, is just the overall bomb project. And so, yeah, it seems like the obvious spy is even now being said to be an obvious spy from other people in the story. And it seems like Virginia and I think his name is Edward, but it might be Edwin. Were caught, which would make sense, certainly. Still far too many of these. I mean, far too many. No, the exact opposite. Far too few of these. Like, it would have been very, very easy for them, as just a matter of pride, to do a second playthrough, a second pass through this game, and just put twice as many of these in throughout the game. I suppose if you just ran through the game and you didn't have any upgrades on health at all, unlike me, who at this point I think has all the health upgrades that I'll ever get, maybe it would be a little too difficult. But I kind of don't agree. I feel like even if you just made this game a little bit more difficult, it might have that fandom pop up, that niche fandom of something like a Super Meat Boy or a Cuphead, one of the games that are super difficult. At least then there would be a challenge and a reason to potentially sell the game on that element. Yeah, I could definitely see better advertising this game if you said this is just like super hard, instead of it being super easy. And now we just have recharge units, which... Okay. That probably would have been an energy upgrade if I hadn't already collected all the energy upgrades. It's still just a lot of nothing. What would be funny is if you jump through this and it didn't break through it, and you had to find a way to get even higher. That would be interesting, because then that would subvert expectations at least. And here we can hear the sounds of a bad guy flying around, but we don't really see him. And it still doesn't really make any sense that we went through so many parts of the game previously and it was just empty when these kind of enemy AIs could have been flying around and attacking us. It's... I mean, how do you call it anything other than unfinished? Like, it makes no sense at all for us to have gone 6-7 hours through the game and had no enemies to deal with at all. Why are there red explosive barrels if they're not going to explode anything? Why is there things to hide and duck in if we're not going to be fighting anything? It really doesn't make any sense. We were supposed to go through these access tunnels that was supposed to lead directly to Astra, the Astra facility. And every valley area now loses life every time there's a sequence that sucks life out of it by Astra. So if the goal of the game is to have full life in the valley always, I imagine that means the entirety of the valley, not just a section of the valley, is what the indicator in the top left of the leaves mean. We have a memo here. Please be on alert for suspicious activity with the recent revelation of espionage within our ranks. Utmost precaution must be practiced. Note from a Lieutenant Private Lenny Watts has been reprimanded for conspiring to waste valuable resources and manpower to produce an ice rink. He'll be cleaning cafeteria dishes for the next 4 weeks. It is not yet known who else was involved. We did have a note from a Pathfinder talk about how he enjoyed the ice in the winter season in this area. Is it possible that everyone, interesting you have a rusted out gun here, why even bother to buy that asset if you're only going to use it once? It would be interesting if the story went that everybody was becoming more obsessed and crazy about just random thoughts. And that's where and that's why this facility failed in the past, is because everybody was just like infected by something in the valley. So here's Edwin Hall. I claim responsibility for the sabotage event. Virginia King had no role or knowledge of my plan to damage the Astra facility. I deceived her into coming with me to ensure her safety. Please release her from custody. So, if he's a spy, he's still a good spy. He's still doing the things that would make him look innocent of being a spy, at least. This game has definitely still some problems with its audio, volume, amplitude, and with just what it chooses to make sound effects, like walking on metal versus sound effects of creatures that are far away or storms. Like, see. Note from Virginia King. To whoever may find this, please stop the pendulum at any cost. Andrew Fisher has gone mad and he won't stop short of harming this planet to satisfy his pride. Do anything you can to disrupt this project before they destroy the entire valley. There's nothing else I can do now. So they both were captured and thrown in jail. And there was an achievement for finding this music box. Why bother to buy the visual asset of a music box that I can't even really zoom in and see? I'm seeing like very, very little detail here. And have audio like this to maybe sell a soundtrack? Does that make sense? It's not like they'd let you have a music box in prison, in military prison in particular. But yeah, there's an achievement for finding this, but then there's also an achievement for finding all the Slender Man reference pages. And I've only found 2 of those. Probably won't find the remaining 6. I imagine there was at least 3 of them before I found the first one in the middle of the game. But yeah, that feels like a kind of unimportant story to have told with Virginia and Edwin. Unless they're alive walking around. Both of those doors were open, which might mean that they escaped. But it also might mean pretty much nothing. We still have these splotches of blood, which we still don't know what that means. Is that people that were sucked to death or killed by Wendigos or what? Here you have a giant box. Let's see, what do we have? Report from a guard. Edwin Hall, Pathfinder, Private First Class, conceded guilt in regards to the sabotage event, claims full responsibility and denies Virginia King's involvement. denial of espionage or collusion with foreign government. And then back here is a copy of that same note, which is interesting. This is almost like an experiment in having two notes on top of each other and showing that that really doesn't work. I don't even know where the second note is, but somehow you can read it. Or maybe the game glitched out there. That might be the case too. Well, it'd be kind of silly to abandon a game just because you were having problems with the text showing up, but I guess in all fairness, if you run out of budget, you run out of budget, and I think that's very well might be the case in this game, is that they just ran out of budget. This is weird because we're gonna power up what seems to be these recorders and play back some audio, and that's it, unless this opens the door that's over there, which it might. Be really crazy if this sends us back in time or something. And then I saw something green that I could put some life back into the valley. This game is glitching quite a bit as far as what you can shoot and where. I probably was looking at this and then it swung. Investigative report. Private Matthews, a soldier from the Pathfinder Division, has come forward with suspicions that Private First Class Edwin Hall may be attempting to sabotage Area 634 operations. He claims to have disclosed a method to destroy both facilities at once using a weapon devised in Astra, unaware of Hall's intent. Fearful of the consequences due to his complicity, he has come forward with this startling information. Aside from his word, however, we have no evidence to corroborate his allegations. Okay. That's weird that kind of nothing happened here. And then you have this battery sitting here just in case you needed to charge up, but we haven't even fought any enemies anytime soon. So that there's no real reason why you would be low on energy. And then this light is here to just make sure you know that this is the way to go. Them being a little sneaky about where the generator is to open a door is not really changing the gameplay much. It would just add a little frustration for a game that says Virginia ... Interesting. Report from Private Matthews. I suspect my squad mate Edwin Hall may be plotting some sort of method to use the weapon being built at the Astra to stir up some trouble. He keeps asking me questions, though I don't know much about it. I see him wandering through Astra every now and then, and even though the sector isn't part of his patrol, I've known him for some time, but the way he's been acting lately has me on edge. I don't know if the Virginia ... that popped up there had anything whatsoever to do with that, reading that article, or if we're going to walk out here and potentially see her. There's a game called Virginia that was, like many games, overhyped and then quickly forgotten once it came out. I guess if I wanted to, I could run around this area. It kind of feels like this is the same area that we could have already accessed, but it probably isn't. Bring back some life. Like, we've got a full-on couple of planes here. Of course, I'm probably just wasting my time. And hit one of these Wendigos. And there was 2 of them. Actually, it seems like there's a few of them. But it's not like you can't shoot them from far away. In fact, they're the one thing you can kind of shoot from far away. So they work fairly well. Oddly, it's kind of slow now to run around the overworld without those racks running. The tracks that would make you run faster. These guys don't seem to in any way care that the Wendigos are dying, and the Wendigos are dropping acorns. These planes are just around here. There's a deer. It's been a while since we've seen any deer. Is this a white deer? Interesting, we just lost the cricket sound effect. Looks like there's kind of a cave-in section over here. Yeah. There, we got the sound effect back. Interesting. We now have an energy upgrade. I wonder if I find more, what that would do. Because it kind of looks like we already have them all. You know, it might be funny if once you can just jump over this. Interesting. Kind of wish there was like a map. It'd be kind of funny if one time in a game you did get so many upgrades that you did fill up an entire screen. Wow. So you can kind of tell the sound effects in this game are programmed in kind of a spheroid circle area, and if you just walk too far, and they didn't even program it well enough to account for being able to walk in certain areas where you should be able to hear sound effects. Is that water, or is that just a hole in the ground? We've been teased quite a lot about the pyramid, and it finally told us that the pyramid is near the Astra facility, which is over there, but we're not going to be able to reach it just by using jumping over the water. And it seems like there's kind of nothing here. It would be difficult to have a boss fight or something on the ocean, on the water, unless you were going to do something that it's just a tree. Interesting. There's a tree way over there. Like, unless you're going to do something like Resident Evil 4, where you basically have a completely different gameplay mechanic and a boss fight, and clearly they couldn't really afford to do that in this game. Not at its level of unfinishedness. Sounded a little metal there. Okay, so I guess what they wanted you to do is work down this creepy skull mouth. I don't know if I can really agree with such a drastic shift. Wondering if you have to hit these guys fairly quickly, or if a hit is a hit. Yeah, I guess it starts to make sense why there was just so much energy over in that back area. Because obviously you needed that to as a backup health reserve. Yeah, but there is just nothing here. Now, I'm a huge fan of the game Myst. Doesn't make me particularly unique. A lot of people like that game. And that's a game where you walk around and solve puzzles, and there's no enemies, there's no shooting, there's nothing along that lines. So could I bend over backwards to say maybe this is an attempt to make a game like that? I don't think so, because the main thing about Myst is the puzzles and the mechanisms and story. The story has been fairly weak in this game. The puzzles have been non-existent because there haven't been any. And the world, if you don't compare apples to apples, if you compare the fact that this game was made much later and was made with the benefit of being able to use pre-made Unity assets, this world looks way worse than the first Myst game did. And it looks worse than the most recent game from the creators of Myst, which would be Abduction. There's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff everywhere. Oh, this is where we were before. Well then, how much of this game did I really need to play the way I played? Is it this fence? Is this it? So if we have to run back through the entire level, we'll do it. I guess this is the fence that stops this section. And this door probably wasn't open before. And it probably opened when we crossed up there. Okay. And then this gate maybe wasn't open, because either that or you could have just fallen off of that and missed the whole prison section and just run right to this section. That definitely looks humanoid more than the Wendigos we've been seeing. So we might see some other kind of monster appear. Or maybe this ancient society just had a fashion for crafting creepy statues. Another medallion. I'm still working off the theory that I probably have enough medallions and acorns for the rest of the game. It would be a little surprising if we even found any more acorn. If we found any more acorn things. Ah, look here. There's just a certain direction and a certain angle of mountains where we can't just Skyrim our way up. Although we probably could waste a lot of time trying that, and we might be able to get fairly high. But I imagine if we did get over that mountain, we'd probably just clip through the ground and die. So Yeah, that runs right back into the same problem of you've made this game, you've designed it so you can run and look at everything and move fairly fast, and then that opens up the possibility that somebody's going to try and run and jump over a place that you hadn't planned on them reaching. There is something up there. Let's see, how can we get up to it though? Can we make that? Okay, we're on top of the statue. And it seems to me like there's nothing here. Imagine if you played the first couple Assassin's Creed games and it was like this, where you could climb to the top of many buildings and yet you found absolutely nothing at the top of the buildings. No feathers, no collectibles, nothing at all that would make you happy that you wasted the effort to do that. I can pretty much guarantee you there would not have been a Assassin's Creed series if the first game had played that way, or if the second game had played that way. By about the third game in the series, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, it had been a popular enough success that secured its continuation even to this point. Am I falling? I was gonna run, but okay. And that just turned on some lights. Okay. We're gonna have a game section here where they actually are gonna try and attack us. They seem to be kind of appearing out of nowhere and disappearing. And maybe that area is caved in? I don't know if this is recharging at all. It is, but very slowly. Well, regardless, we can press forward fairly easily. Just picked up an acorn. And we lost the music as soon as I got my health all the way to the max. It's kind of funny. I think I may have gone the wrong way. Did I go to some side section? Or have we hit a Metroidvania area that means I went the wrong direction? Run along magnetic wall surfaces with the magnetic core upgrade. Still definitely trying to be...
Private Hendricks, I'm providing your squad with a newly devised magnetic core for your leaf suit so that you may test its limitations. Take your squad to the train loading dock connecting to the tram tunnel. It should prove an ample testing ground for this latest upgrade. Report back by the end of the day tomorrow.
Maybe I can access the tram tunnel from the tram dock. So I think I skipped something that I was supposed to find, but I couldn't really tell you what it was. No, I don't think there's anything up there. So, oh, well, that's interesting. it just full on rotates the world. All of a sudden, I kind of see why this game is unfinished. That in itself would be very, very hard to program. You're not going to get something in the Unity engine that just rotates the entire world. You can pull tricks off to do it. Personally, what I would do is I would have the rest of the world pause, rotate a small bubble around me, and then unrotate it when you get off the tram, and then unpause the rest of the world. It's not uncommon to turn off physics and the effects of physics and AI for enemies when they're not near you anyways. But yeah, that might have been the thing that they were working on that stopped them from potentially having a finished product. Okay. Wow, and that's an awkward jump. And I imagine the rest of these are going to just be nothing. Here you have giant foot statues with 5 toes, just in case we're accurate there. You only have 4 toes on the L.E.A.F project. A couple more medallions. So maybe you do need 50. This looks like a full-on L.E.A.F upgrade. Nope, it's an energy upgrade. Wow, there are 2 bars. Jeez, how much of this game is left? Honestly, am I nowhere close to being done? Do you literally have to run through this game to make any progress at all? Like, it really becomes questionable. Feels like you should have a speed up experience when walking on these walls, but I could understand why there really isn't a mechanical reason for that. Remember these that when you needed to open the doors? We've not done anything with those gates in a while. It's been hours and hours, probably about 4 hours. Well, I kind of enjoy this. I can see Astra's killing the forest again. And we'll just bring the life back to it, because there's no reason not to. Billy's just getting crazily out of hand. Are these acorns? Yeah. Maybe we should try and collect as many of these as we can while we're around. Because if they're gonna drop acorns, we might as well collect them. Just in case we run into more acorn doors. The fact that we just ran into one that gave us a life energy upgrade, not life energy upgrade, but an energy upgrade, does open up that possibility that there's going to be more of that happening. I really wish there was more of a map here. Like, as far as I can tell, we are still technically in Camp Henday, but we might actually be back returning to Wendigo Lake, and it may just be a matter of the game itself not really projecting that well. Now, I imagine trying to jump would be a mistake, because if we jump and we miss, I imagine we would just rotate and fall. Yeah, you're not going to get forward momentum in that pattern. We were over here. We are going in somewhat circles. But I guess there was an abilities section here, or I just reached an area I wasn't supposed to reach yet. It is very possible that we just have been going the wrong path, and that there's a couple different ways to play the game. I don't think that's gonna change much. Find the tram tunnel leading to the Astra Weapons Facility. And now we have wooden sounds. Note from a worker. Those damn Pathfinders keep getting in the way of our learning. The way they run around on these walls. Training for who knows what. They think they own the place. Well, I have a job to do. I'll be damned if these brash young men put me behind schedule. Oops. Alright, well I just fell. But I don't think it matters. Yeah, if there was more game to play here, this would be really cool. Like, if this was, say, a pitch that they gave to Valve for this is what Portal 3 would be, that would be a cool idea. Walking on the walls and running and rotating the whole world. I just don't know why such a small company would think that they could pull this off. And it's not like these ideas were even stolen. So far, since this game came out, and it's been a few years, I've seen no game where you take the life out of creatures or walk on walls. There's been some Mirror's Edge games that have taken the parkour sliding on wall concept, but just rotating the whole world is crazy. You know what? On second thought, instead of pausing the physics of the entire world around you and just making a bubble that rotates, why not leave this physics exactly the same for everybody except for you and just rotate the screen? So it looks like you're walking sideways, when in reality they just rotated everything 90 degrees from your perspective. That would be way easier to program instead of affecting the physics of many other people. I feel like this is going to break like the bridge, or we're going to run into a section with water, and then you run into these problems where there's just enough momentum. You think they'd be more cautious about building bridges if, yeah, and you gotta be real careful here, if these Pathfinders always die whenever they hit water, then I would assume have been more careful about placing water in places where you could fall. Although in all fairness, it's not. Is that one done? So was that supposed to be a jump scare, or we're gonna take on several more? Is this gonna affect the Wendigos in any way? Walking up these paths? They definitely are trying to have much more of an interaction and much more of a game than before. It just feels so weird. Like, imagine if you played Metroid and you did not run into any enemy at all for the first 6 hours of gameplay. I mean, even if you were playing particularly like cautiously. That shouldn't occur. And yet that definitely occurred in this game. I imagine half the people that played this game didn't even make it this far. Some of these sound effects are getting repeated way too often, like the wind sound. The cricket sounds are fairly easy to not recognize that they're repeating, but when you hear a pretty distinctive whoosh sound 100 times in a row, it's no surprise that that would start to get noticeable. I didn't even see that metal there. I thought I was just gonna have to pull off a particularly challenging jump. Just gonna go ahead and leave that. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. One assumes you don't have to leave energy for later. I don't know if there's a great system here in the fact that every time you fight these guys, they always take 3 hits of damage. Seems like there would have been kind of an easier way to randomize that. Have some guys sometimes take 2 hits of damage. Have some guys sometimes take 1 hit of damage. Here we're sliding slash slowly walking. I could try and run. Well, see if we can convince this guy to die before we reach over there. Charge up. Did I kill enough of them, or? I think what they probably want you to do is something like this. And they probably don't want you to accidentally run into the water, but they're going to give you that opportunity anyways. So you see how those still fell downward and everything. So physics for these creatures around here are still happening the normal way. And they didn't pause, and there's like no AI freeze there. So that's a pretty technical demonstration there that I imagine to most people, most game players, looked and felt like basically nothing at all. And down we go. A member of the Pathfinder's division and an on-site anthropologist have been exposed to traitors during a covert attempt to destroy Astra security personnel called to culprits amid the act and placed them under arrest. This is great for the loading scene, but it's very possible that I would have missed that. And we are just off balance as far as ending one level. Some levels are about an hour, some levels are not. Okay. So now we are in these tram sections again that will speed things up. And we can run on walls.
In response to the recent sabotage attempt and arrest of the culprits, I am ordering all Pathfinder operations to be suspended and all Leaf suits to be locked away until project completion. The suits are too powerful to fall into the wrong hands. Additionally, I am requesting all evidence of the sabotage attempt, including Private First Class Edwin Hall's own Leaf suit and Miss King's recordings, to be gathered and sent to storage until a proper military tribunal can take place. Until then, all suspects will remain in detention. With the recent increase in production, it should not be long.
No one had access to Leaf suits, apparently. I guess that explains why all the other ones were missing, except for Edwin Hall's leaf suit, which was in the truck that we found it, along with the recordings. Which really, again, just puts to the fact that you could have just been listening to all of these records while sitting on the ground at the beginning of the game. There's really no reason for these recordings to activate at these very specific points that they're activating. And the audio turned down a little bit so that that audio log could play. But I feel like they kind of wanted me to just continue to run while we're doing this. And I feel like a fast travel section would have been better preferred here instead of what we're getting, which is having to actually run through all of this. If no one had access to the leaf suits, what does that really mean? It would just kind of explain why nobody would die or would survive if, say, the life seed sucked all the life out of people. Of course, there was always that weird scenario where if you died next to somebody else, right next to somebody else with a life suit, and then you came back and you sucked the life out of them, and then they came back and they sucked the life out of you, it would just create an infinite loop. Feels like you could have missed that jump fairly easily. I wonder if we're actually going to end up going downward. No, I think we're just kind of going in loops. I don't really get it. I don't see why you need a transition here. If there was an overworld map and it showed you exactly where you were, then that would maybe make some sense. Metroid Prime, I think, was kind of good about giving you the feeling. Looks like it caved in. Find a way to find the Astro weapons facility. Wouldn't be surprised if Astra by definition means soul, since Soma by definition means body. Let's just see how this plays out. We're gonna follow the markers and follow the red. Interesting. Underwater life that you can suck out but you can't put back in. Interesting. I don't think that really means anything. Seems like it's kind of magnets you to the ground and helps you. Weapons facility, use of deadly force authorized. Odd that this is the first point in the entire secret valley with the secret projects that use of deadly force is authorized. All the other signs have just been more that they would capture you, or you might be charged with espionage or something. They don't seem to have been very strict up until this point. This is a military live firing area. And we need to find something to put some life in because they sucked enough life out. This is the proving grounds. Just keep on giving life till we get the valley life back up. Which obviously it's not a one-to-one equation here, because if it were a one-to-one equation, then I would have to put a lot more life into a lot more plants, because obviously Astra is taking a ton of life out of a ton of plants. And here's the military star that started it all, as far as me thinking this was a Russian facility. Or a Russian project. And I suspect we'll probably not run into too many magnetic metal walls. We clearly can't just walk up anything metal. It's kind of a fun idea to just have a calming stroll after a challenge and put some life in the valley and bring it back up and kind of waste your energy. But there's no video game benefit for putting life back into the valley after you've gotten it back up to maximum. And there was like no difficulty settings in this game. It was just go. So unless this game opened up a new game plus with a higher difficulty, which I would never waste my time playing this game a second time at this rate. There must be where they started testing bombs. So yeah, there's just craters in the ground. And there's some exoskeletons of cars and such. This is pretty. Apparently we are no longer in the nighttime, so there does seem to be a scripted day-night cycle happening. And is this a hole you're supposed to fall down? No. I feel like this red tree is where you're supposed to go. It seems like the red trees tend to hold some marker value, but apparently not. Getting these orbs is not really worth it. Like, there's just... They only give you that small fraction of energy. And they want me to go that way. So let's see what this is. Is this going to be a shortcut or a challenge area? Or is this just going to be... I was a little surprised that there wasn't a fight area. And yeah, this does seem like this is what they wanted you to eventually make your way to. Note from Virginia King. Oops. Let's see, where's the guy who's fighting me? Yeah, I was thinking that if this is going to be labeled as a proving ground, there should be some combat in this, and this game finally does have some combat in it. Let's see. By my calculations, the natives who inhabited this land vanished several centuries ago. What happened to them? Where did they come from? Why did they come here? The soil is not ideal for agriculture. The best I can reason is this must have been the sacred ground for them. Which I would argue most sacred grounds have more reason to exist. Letter from Edwin Hall. The land sharks are competing against the raptors today. They're fast and a little overconfident, but I'm sure we can beat them. This all depends on how our new recruit holds up. I hope you are cheering on us on today. Wish me luck. Yeah, it's just text. We're going to get text all over the place in the medallions. As baffling as these ancient ruins are, I see hints of civilization hiding within them. The Aztecs believed that life came from the gods sacrificing themselves. They produced the substance that nurtures life, and a great ongoing sacrifice continues to sustain the universe. They believe that everything springs from severed bodies, limbs, and heads of the sacrificed gods, while humanity itself are those deserved and brought back to life through penance. It's quite possible they're witnessing reflections of these beliefs here within the valley. If this is a game supposed to be about Aztecs, though, it really is failing to really give enough culture and backstory to an Aztec type country, civilization. Like countless of other civilizations, many Mesoamericans also believed in reincarnation. This means no body burning, as the body's vital force must be preserved. The Aztecs believed that our hearts were a fragment of the sun, a piece of the cosmos trapped within each of us. Human sacrifice was seen as repaying the debt of life owed back to the universe. Was that what they were doing here? A sacrificial restitution to the earth? Who knows what they're doing? Who cares? It's hard to really care about the backstory, particularly when it relates to Edwin and Virginia, when seemingly they straight up got caught and killed or imprisoned. That's as much as we know, is that they were caught and imprisoned. And while it would be an interesting idea if it turned out that the character you're playing is actually Virginia reincarnated, it's still kind of hard to care about that. I really would like to jump down that hole, but at best it would just give me an achievement. At worst it would, well, whatever. Let's not deprive ourselves the opportunity to sacrifice ourselves. Let's do this. There was water down there. Okay. Good to know. Meanwhile, what trees lost their life for that experiment? I don't even know. Feels like there probably should be, in a game like this, specific life trees that lose their life when you die. Like, clearly, since there are only maybe 10 life bars in the entire game anyways, it would make a lot of sense to then have 10 unique trees in every area. Quest updated. Pulled together, the Valkyries only have half as many medallions. We need to access the step pyramid. I hear the raptors are a good chunk of the way there, but my money's on the land sharks being the first to enter it. But it kind of feels like none of them entered the pyramid, or they did it at a very different time before the sabotage attempt. We're supposed to navigate our way through the training forest, which seems like this might be a reset to get back up to this point. And otherwise, we are just going to try and swing. Let's see if we can hit that. Nope. So is this an area that you just fall down to, or can we just avoid the swinging stuff? Because honestly, this feels like a lot. It. And yeah, maybe you could use. Maybe you could use this to get up high, but then where do you go? Ooh. I mean, there's just so much energy around. Kind of feels like you could just take on everybody. This is kind of the level of challenge that I would expect to have had a lot earlier in the game. There's another one of those pages. Of course, references to Slender Man and Spooky Pages now are kind of subsided by the fact that we've got actual spooky creatures that can actually hurt us. Alright, let's see if this can get us relatively high. We're kind of cheating our way here. In all fairness, like, we skipped a significant amount of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people skipped a lot of that, though. Because falling's never fun. Wow. This really is just all over the place. It's really, really high. Yeah. Again, this feels like a section of the gameplay that I think they thought you would really, really want to play, when arguably I would say no, I really, really wouldn't want to play this part. Because this swing mechanic isn't anywhere as good as they think it is. Am I going the wrong way? I am. And the signs are even telling me I'm going the wrong way. How'd I get so turned around? Yeah, I don't know if I'm going the right way or not. Like, I could be going totally the wrong way. And then they've got little energy pellets here, but those won't refill. Am I heading in that direction? Is this the actual water? I kind of have to run in that general direction, I think. I'm hoping that this would have landed me on a platform, and it didn't. Interesting. Well, they've thrown something new at me, to say the least. Is this big glowing thing a checkpoint, or is it just a point that they wanted you to recognize? Here's the problem. So I died that one time. Where around here is anything I can give life to possibly recover? I'll make that. Looks like that area also rolls downward, and so this is like one of the sculpture sections that these previous civilizations had. Almost certainly I have not been doing a good job of really playing with the momentum system. Alright. Almost died again. And one is just hoping that we're supposed to try and maintain some height. This is gonna suck. Nope. Oh yeah, we're in trouble now. We may have an actual game over happen. Let's just jump down here, since we know we can make this. And then we'll have to work our way up this direction. Let's try to keep a sharp eye out for any life we can give back to any of the trees. Maybe that was really the only way it could make it, is by taking the easier path. It's gonna rather suck if it turns out that we are like 100 medallions short. But I would have a hard time believing that that was really how this was gonna play out. Notice how it kind of jumps the animation there. That there wasn't quite a smooth transition between the flying around and the dying animation of the Wendigos. There's still nothing. There, I see something. We'll fly that way and give some life. like... Just running around trying to see if I can find anything that would make the cursor turn green. Maybe up here on the outer banks of the walls. See, I don't know if those are actual trees or if they're just set dressing. Okay, that brought back a little bit of life, but not a lot. Finally, I was able to pull a swing off without just wrecking myself. Continue towards Astra. So there's seriously not anything else I can really do. So we just had giant glowing platforms as markers. I don't know if I have enough momentum to make this. Barely. Although, this kind of feels like we're just kind of repeating ourselves and doing things we've done before. As a way of having the game just stretch itself out. They did me dirty here so that you were forced into a fight, but it's not going to be too much of a problem unless you literally had no energy when you made this jump, which you would have had to have really tried hard for that to be the case, because there was tons of energy balls all over the place. And we've got like a giant Colossus statue. Yeah, I don't know how you would describe this game other than kind of stupidly designed, in the fact that there is a giant head statue, a giant Colossus statue, a giant pyramid they keep talking about, we haven't seen it yet, a giant Astra facility, the giant Soma facility. All of that would be very visually interesting to see, and yet all of that is put several hours, well over 5 hours, into the game, instead of having something at least interesting to look at. I mean, we literally started this game crashing a canoe in a cave, and the cave was boring and dark and didn't really have anything to show us other than maybe a sign on the wall that never really seemed to matter. Now I wonder about these. We've seen these before, and I wonder if that is going to somehow put us back into playing the game, and running through these areas a second time. I'm a little low on life, but the life in the valley is almost back to max, which I think is probably an important choice to make. Like, more and more when you get into these sections and you have the opportunity to refill your life, you probably should take it. It's another energy upgrade. It's been a while. Almost certainly I missed something in that whole swing section, and I really wouldn't want to go back and try and play that whole swing section, so we have a soft abandonment going on for sure of what I actually want to accomplish with this game. And more as this game just drags on, I will just want to get to the end and run to the end, and certainly the game tries to encourage you to just run to the end.
April 24th, 1943. What is the significance behind these colossal statues found throughout the valley? I find they all look so very voracious. I keep returning to the idea of the mythical Saiteka, the legendary tribe of cannibalistic giants that roamed North America and came into conflict with the Aboriginals. But why would they be worshipped here? There must be something else to it.
Giant cannibals. Interesting. Quest update. Find a way to break through the cracked floor. Okay. This is odd that it's making a metal sound. I don't think this is metal, I think this is stone. Okay. Are we supposed to jump perhaps on this guy's hand? Let's go put some life into him and see if he comes back to life. Nope. I'm still not an expert apparently of figuring out whether or not I can make a jump. I didn't think I could make that. Is that where we want to jump? Or is that where we want to jump? I think this is where we want to jump. Yeah, there it is. As the Astro facility increases output, the orbs can no longer keep pace. As such, energy will often be pulled from its surroundings. Only those equipped with leaf suits may venture near during the increased production. So that even when it was running the right way, it was still killing people as it was absorbing the orbs around. This kind of feels like we're in a pyramid.
May 19th, 1943. The Saurians, much like other indigenous peoples, seem to hold strong cultural value in legendary creatures. The most notable one being the creature depicted on all these doorways. It resembles the mythological Wendigo, a fierce creature with an insatiable desire to consume flesh. The creature is most often linked with both greed and famine, acting as a balance of nature. Why would this creature hold such a strong cultural significance to them?
It's funny that the main character goes Wendigo ? We've seen Wendigos mentioned before. It's not like they're new to the story. Or I think we've seen Wendigo. We saw it mentioned at least in one place. Maybe some players wouldn't have seen that. So where are we now? Well, we quickly jumped from Camp Henday to the Proving Grounds to Smoke Lake. And honestly, unless we're going to now start looping backwards, I feel like there's probably one more area and that's it. And the areas are just kind of rather big. As far as energy upgrades, clearly I've missed either a ton or there's a ton more game, which would be kind of insane. Like, and then as far as overall upgrades, the way things are labeled here, with the energy upgrade status having just slightly less than one line's worth of space between it, so the point in the lower right where it says magnetic core, and then there just being about the same amount of distance between magnetic core and viper core, and so on and so on, it seems like maybe there's an upgrade to the feet, and that's about it. I don't think we could get too many more upgrades unless they start drawing lines and pushing descriptors far to the left in a second grouping. Of the upgrades we've gotten, the double jump is definitely helpful. Running on the walls magnetically is cool. Speeding up on the magnetic rails was pointless because those whole sections are pointless. The swinging on vines, I'm not really enjoying it because it's just not a very well smoothly programmed element. Also, I would say if you're going to have the ability to swing on things, it needs to be fairly integrated throughout the entirety of the game and not just in discrete bespoke sections. Ideally, there would have been a lot of places where you could have swung up and moved faster, or just used a double jump if you didn't want to swing, or perhaps have some triggers or switches that you use with your swinging ability. Anything really just to remind you that you have that ability. Yeah, more and more though, this game leaves me with the feeling of just exhaustion. It's just going on forever, and I don't know if I'm just playing it wrong, terribly wrong, because I usually look up how long it takes to beat a game. I go to howlongtobeat.com, and whatever number of hours they say to beat it as a completionist, they usually tap on 2 or 3 hours, since I'm being a critic and talking about the game. But at that, I should have been done with the game around 8 or 9 hours. I feel like we are hitting the 10 or 11 hour point, and while we might be close to being done, unless we just get steamrolled through the Astra facility, and it's just a lot of boss fights that are fairly easy, I could see another 3 or 4 hours of gameplay potentially happening. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.